Jessica Tess with her mouth full of nuts.
Great. Okay. Hi, Jess.
Hey, Lauren.
How are you doing?
Good. Sunny Sunday.
Woo! In Chicago. Chi-Town summer's here, finally.
Chi-Town. Shout out to Steph Young. You know, when it was summertime shy?
Yeah.
And she thought it was summertime cheat.
Oh. Well, that's a way to say it.
That's why she had to move.
Okay, so what do you want to start with today? I think we're going to start with Summer House because there's a lot to unpack. Explosive. And I actually have a lot of thoughts
now
on
that's
Lindsay.
How you do a finale.
Yeah.
You know, like I am begging for the reunion now. That is the way to end it. Mm-hmm. Vanderpump. Take notes.
Yeah, right. Seriously. I do want to say one thing about the Doomsday Party, which I'm stealing this thought from some girls I talked to recently, but some of these parties, if you were the owners of the house, you'd get so irritated with. Yeah. This is the party that if I was watching it, I'd go, you're not getting back your deposit.
They even joked about it when they were setting up. They're like, not getting our security deposit.
There's fire, garbage, there's shit in the pool.
Spray paint.
Yes.
I don't know if that was fully being kept on removable items or if that got on some pillars and whatnot.
Then, Jessica, also then afterwards, there seemed to be a lot of black face paint touching white pillows in beds. And I viscerally saw that and I was like, oh my God, Kyle, you need to shower.
Yeah. I thought about how everyone needed to shower after that party because, they had like smeared to look like they had oil on their face.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That was too much for me. And then we go to yet again another Carl and Lindsay fight, right?
Yeah. Did you catch though the opening of the episode was a montage of all their fights?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't even see that.
It started, maybe it was like the long intro kind of before they get back into the Doomsday Party.
Yeah.
But it, like they go season recap because it was the finale. All of it, though, were just Lindsay and Carl's arguments.
I just
skipped the
recap.
Here we go. They're prepping us.
Yeah.
You're like, reminder why the engagement ended.
Right. So I feel like my first thought at the kitchen convo, by the way, I mean, Lindsay literally asks him at one point, so do you want to get married?
Yes.
And he bobbles the answer. So now jumping to when she says she gets blindsided, like, how do you get blindsided at that? Like, you are literally asking him point blank, and he is saying, I have concerns.
Yeah, the part you're talking about, I wrote down, Carl was saying, he literally said, before we get married, we need to iron out some things. And Lindsay goes, so you're saying you don't want to get married? I was like, this is peak their horrible communication.
Right.
Putting words in his mouth. I'm not defending. I think Carl, like you said, he's bobbled it a million times too. But I was like, no, he just said before we get married, iron some things out. So you don't want to get married.
But Jessica, there were multiple times during the episode that I was also yelling at the TV like, say it, say yes. Carl, say it. Say, I don't think we should get married. Say it. Even when they were doing their breakup, he couldn't straightforward say it. He was letting her make the decision for the two of them.
Yeah. There were painful moments in that where he had made up his mind but was still tiptoeing, and then Lindsay's like, well, what do you want from me? You want me to fight for it? And I was like, no, he's ending it. But it's not crystal clear that he was, because she's like, what do you want me to do? Get mad? And he was like, no, because I'm done.
Right.
But again, even in their breakup, they couldn't get on the same page about what was happening.
And then, so then let's talk about the 3 days later. Unlike other parts of this season, I thought this last episode really rectified the old Lindsay Hubbard, who I just know I've watched be a manipulative, like, kind of gaslighter bully. Because this was like, the entire time this season, Jessica, I think we talked about it, we were on her side.
Yeah.
Then this final episode, I was like, here she is. Yeah. Welcome back, Lindsay Hubbard. Because first of all, 3 days later, I was expecting like a Tom and Ariana, like we pick up 4 weeks later. It was 3 days. So I do think it's shady he brought the cameras back, but the reality is it was 2 days after the weekend had ended.
Yeah.
And he's like, I still have more to hash out on this. This is not going to be how we end it.
Yeah. And he said when they got back from Montauk, like she slammed the door to their, main bedroom. So I slept in the other room.
Right. Yeah. She continued the fight, and then he wakes up and goes to brunch with Kyle or lunch with Kyle. That to me was very significant. It was like immediately after. It was not, we weren't calling it a new production crew months after the fact.
Yeah, I agree. I never knew the exact timing other than we always heard they picked the cameras back up. So like you said, you think there's a huge gap, and then I would have been like, man, Carl, really? You had to make sure this was captured?
Right.
But I agree. They'd finished 3 days prior.
Right.
That wasn't the biggest stretch of the imagination to say there's more to do.
Right. I have a little more to say on this matter, aka break up. So then he gets Kyle out to like a coffee. Clearly Kyle knows what's going on. I love Kyle in this moment because he knows what's going on. But apparently Amanda had coached him not to tip the scale in any favor because
it will be held against him.
Yes. If they got back together, and Jessica, you always do a good job of telling me this. It's like, you can't go hard at someone's significant other when they're potentially going to be in your life for a very long term, because you will lose. You're going to lose. If it's you versus somebody's significant other, they have to choose their significant other.
Unfortunately, it's usually a shoot the messenger situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Kyle was sitting there with like no comment, which was like very unusual for Kyle, right?
Yep.
But apparently he had been coached.
Well, Kyle, I noted Kyle asking Carl point blank, do you want to get married? Carl's answer, I don't know.
Yeah.
If that is your answer and your wedding is in 2 months, the answer is no.
Yes.
I don't know is not a sufficient answer
Right.
to a question about the biggest life decision you're going to make.
And I think he actually, knowing Carl, right, he wanted Lindsay to call it. I think he wanted Kyle to sit there and say, this doesn't seem like this is going to work.
He was like, man, Kyle, I wanted you to be fired up and you're being really level-headed right now. I need you to be the bad guy. But that is peak example, though, of why Carl is manipulative as well.
Totally.
He knows. And I did think it was funny, when the breakup happened, she goes right into her room, calls her dad, and he's awkwardly in the kitchen with producers still going like, are you okay? Do you need time? And he was predicting exactly what she was doing.
Yeah.
He goes, I can hear her in the room. She already just said blindsided.
Yeah.
So they're both masters of it.
Right.
He knew what she was going to do, and then she knew how to spin it to about Carl is just as bad.
Right. I totally agree. And my thought was, what did Lindsay think was happening when the cameras all of a sudden appeared in her apartment?
Yeah, she had to knew that.
Something, right?
You'd think.
Like, that's not a normal situation. I would have probed my partner and been like, why are the cameras coming in today?
Do you think she thought they were getting a wedding special?
Oh, maybe. Oh, my God.
So they needed the reconciliation to then continue to the wedding? Oh, man. I just put that as a theory out there. I was like, maybe that's what she thought.
Well, it's gonna come up in the reunion. Andy's too good. He'll sniff that one out.
Yeah.
Like, what did you think the cameras were doing in your apartment, Lindsay?
Right.
I made a note during the back and forth of the fight. Carl is throwing some Hail Marys to make sure he gets it all out there.
Yes. Yeah.
Listing off the names that she's called him one by one.
He got to 7. He got to 7 going, these are all things you think horribly of me.
Yes, right. Had to make sure he got each one out there.
Yep.
This is their final moments to kind of make sure America's behind them.
Carl in the after show is claiming he was okay with postponing the wedding and trying to work through problems.
Yes.
He did not give that impression. I did not get that slightly. I thought he was tiptoeing around that he fully was saying we're done.
He claims that if Lindsay would have answered in the right way, which this is also
It was a test.
It was a test.
It was a test.
If she would have answered in the right way, he would have then said he would have jumped into her arms and there would have been a massive reconciliation.
Okay.
I think he thought potentially there was going to be postponing of the wedding, so he wanted to show that. But I think he was ready to call it off. And so that's the part that he has never admitted to, that he was ready to call it off at that point. He was striving
he's
for
trying to
Yes.
rewrite. 100%. He's probably getting some hate right now, and he's trying to cover that, going, I was actually willing to work. She mentioned multiple times, if we work at it, and he kept going, but we have been.
Right.
We've been to therapy which I don't know if I clocked the exact months, but we know they got engaged right around Labor Day. So we'll say end of August, early September. And maybe it was Paige or Amanda in the like girl breakdown session after it all happened. I think Amanda was like, they've been in therapy since November. So I agree with that statement. They have tried. If they were having all these problems, couldn't communicate, but they really had never explored a third party trying to help them, that would have been a fair comment. But you started therapy 3 months after your engagement.
Yeah.
And you still can't get it together.
Totally.
And it's supposed to be the happiest time of your life.
Right.
Yes, it's stressful, the wedding planning and all that, but that's what negates the stress, is overshadowed by how excited and in love you are. And that's why I think like you get through it.
Yeah,
the wedding planning is so stressful, but you get through it because you're so excited.
Right. I also honorable mention to Lindsay's dad when she called him, and his first response was, "Oh boy." I thought that was such a like dad comment to be making.
Yeah, such a fatherly. I do not know what to respond to my maybe about to be emotional daughter about this horrible thing. Yeah.
Also, interesting, and Paige caught it, so I'm not catching it myself, but the headlines came out super fast after they'd broken up.
Yes.
Which that's also like somebody spilled the beans. That's what a Paige alludes to.
Okay.
So she thinks, I mean, it could have been Lindsay, it could have been Carl, it could have been either one of them, but somebody specifically leaked the fact, and there was pretty specific details in those headlines. Let's say it. Like, it was not it was that Carl called it off, that Lindsay felt blindsided. They were able to quote all that.
Which makes me think it was Lindsay. It was already putting the narrative blindsided.
Right.
Make her the victim.
I just hope she got paid for some of those. I mean, that's a pretty good leak to be giving people.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. If she leaked it herself.
Make some money off of that at least.
Good point. I can't, again, there was, so many bombs and like info was dropped. I can't even remember at what moment. I don't know if it was Carl talking to Lindsay, but he also referenced that in January, again, 5 months into being engaged, she gave the ring back during a fight.
Right.
That's where I can't get behind Lindsay was blindsided.
No. I think it's a really slippery slope when you are constantly trying to top each in extreme ultimatums. Like, she clearly, I think it said on the after show, she said to him multiple times, "Why did you propose to me?" She's given back the ring. It's like, once you go down that path as a couple where you're saying, like, why are we doing this? Yeah. It becomes the kind of default argument constantly, and it's so extreme. It's like, once you start throwing out that stuff, you can't come back from it. No. It's like, you're throwing back the ring in February. How does he come back from that? You know, he claimed he was replaying that moment in his mind through all of this, that she'd already once tried to give back the ring. Yeah. I don't know. This is where Lindsay Hubbard, at the end of the day, is just Lindsay fucking Hubbard. Like, she's a piece of work. That's the best way I can describe it. Yeah. I don't even know who the right guy for her is. Is it a pushover? I don't know. I almost then think she wouldn't love the challenge, but another hard-headed person is just never going to work with her. Can I also say there's something in pop culture called you sent your representative. So what that means is, like, during your first portion of dating, you basically sent a better version of yourself as your representative to the relationship. She clearly sent her representative for the first... I don't know her. Who is she? That girl came for the first 6 months. Everyone called her out because they knew that was not the Lindsay Hubbard that they were used to. Danielle basically lost the friendship because of it. Yeah, and then the representative went on vacation and the real Lindsay came out. And they were left wondering what was going on. It's like... That was so clear to me. I've never heard that, but that is so true. Because that's where they talk about, like, you're still in the dating honeymoon phase. Right. Because everyone can keep that kind of facade up. Someone can cut you off in traffic and you're like, no big deal. And then, 6 months in, you're swearing, you're having a freak out. And the other person's like, I didn't think you had it in ya. But you'd been controlling it for so long. And let's be clear, Jess, everyone sends the representative. I've sent mine. Yeah. You probably sent yours. But she was a version of what Kunal got. It was not a bipolar night and day shift. She was my assistant.
She was Jessica adjacent.
Yes.
Lindsay's was a completely different person.
Lindsay was a
Alien
body double.
Yeah, a body double.
Right.
An evil twin,
Right.
except the nice twin. Lindsay was the evil one coming in.
I mean, completely. Okay, so let's move to Danielle's apartment. I have a lot of thoughts about this situation.
Yeah.
First of all, why are Paige and Amanda there? Like, they're not. And Sierra, like, come on. This is a forced production
she didn't
moment.
Utter a word, yeah.
Well, and rightfully so. I mean, it's like, boo-boo, you're not friends with her. Let's not act like you are. Paige and Amanda almost seem giddy that this is happening.
I noted that. I was like, there's a little bit of a glimmer in Paige's eye. Like, she's kind of loving it.
Yes.
And I do think deep down she was still a bit ticked off she wasn't invited to the wedding. Did you catch her very ballsy joke? When they were having the girl hug, Lindsay's starts breaking down. They're all hugging her. And Paige goes, well, this is what you get for not inviting me to the wedding.
Oh, God.
I was like, she is 2 months post wedding called off, and you're going to make a joke about this is karma because you weren't invited initially? I thought, which just showed Paige was still annoyed that she was not invited.
Totally. Well, and I think you should have had, if you really wanted to be authentic to Lindsay, it would have been Gabby and Danielle only.
Yeah.
Not the other three that we know are recent fair weather friends.
Yes.
And then, by the way, if you watch the after show, Amanda and Paige both, and Sierra, all talk shit about Lindsay during that moment.
Okay. Yes.
Paige
so
calls,
they didn't all go to Mexico together as they were kikiing about.
But I do agree with this. The Lindsay crying scene at Danielle's apartment, I wrote it down that it was forced. It was fake tears. Paige also in the after show says Lindsay's tearless cries are never to be trusted. And that was what was going on there. So I don't know if you caught it, but like it dried up so quick. It was like a Sex in the City moment of like, but we're going to Mexico, right?
Yes. And Paige, but again, like you said, should a friend that it is admitting found out your engagement was over from the headlines be at your make you feel better party?
Yeah.
Because Danielle said she got a call.
Yeah.
Clearly Gabby, we didn't get into the details, but I'm sure Gabby got a call. Because again, I think Gabby was a bridesmaid. I can't remember for sure. But yeah, they both knew, and the rest of the girls found out via the internet. Is that really who should be comforting you? Lindsay did not deem you important enough to tell you before probably she leaked. Danielle, by the way, I just sold the story to Page 6. It's coming out tomorrow, so I thought I'd tell you.
I mean, she's a publicist, master at the spin.
Oh God, I forgot. Yeah, exactly. Oh my, she for sure leaked it. There's no chance she didn't.
Getting ahead of it.
Yeah.
And then, so also, did you see now in the reunion that she's already dating somebody else?
Yeah.
I wonder who that is.
I know.
She said it's somebody she's dated before.
Yeah, and it was like one of those, sometimes you're just not ready, and then you meet again later in life.
Yeah.
No idea. I doubt it's anyone we've seen from Summer House time. It's got to be pre that. She's probably talking years and years ago she dated him.
I guess the Danielle apartment thing was really when I realized, here's the Lindsay we know and love that I just cannot stand and is one giant manipulator. Like,
yeah. And is secretly loving being the center of attention.
Right.
Maybe even not so secretly, but she doesn't even care that it's a horrible thing that's happened in her life. All the girls are there to talk about her and with her and comfort her.
Right. Well, I think too, Lindsay clearly was done with Carl. I think what she's crying about the most in that moment is the fact that her timeline is yet again set back. The not being able to have kids.
Yeah.
The starting over again. I mean, now she's getting up to 38?
Yeah.
You know, it's just tough. It's tough when that stuff starts to happen, and you can tell she's up against her biological clock at this point.
Yeah. There have been a few episodes where Vince has just watched a quick clip, and some of them were like the wedding related parts. Maybe he saw part of her bridal shower episode. He right away clocked. He goes, she only wants to get married to get married. I was like, wow, that was clearly glaringly obvious to someone who does not watch this show. He saw a quick clip and goes, she's never once said, I'm so excited to like be with Carl. It was all like, I can't wait, I'm getting married in her stupid little voice. Was that a decent impersonation?
That was, because that voice actually made a big appearance on the after show where she continued to cry and talk in that voice about how sad she was. And I just thought, this is so fake. We've beaten it to death. But anything else?
This is so unrelated, but it was back to the very end of the Doomsday Party. Did you catch a random dude walking in the house and he slams the door back onto Gabby? I said perfect representation of her season. You are done.
I think at Reunion, Danielle's sitting on the end.
Yep.
And then I think Gabby's sitting on the end.
Yes.
I think both sides there on the end.
I believe so. Dead
so,
last.
Here we go.
If someone in their first season, aka West and Jesse, get closer to Andy than you do, and Danielle's on year what? I mean, Gabby, we know it's her second. Danielle's at least 4, if not longer. Not good news for you. Your chair's going to be removed for next year.
And you can tell Danielle's piping up. She's got some lines already. So we know that's the game. When you're sitting at the end, you got to have a few one-liners that you throw out.
Yeah. Okay.
Excited for Reunion.
Oh, yes.
Gonna be fab.
See, example. That one should probably be 3 parts. So I hope it is.
Yeah.
Well, should we go into the other reunion?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Can you tell our excitement?
Vanderpump. Okay.
Finally, we are done.
Thank God. So I have a theory that I think they made the cast, watch the final finale because they knew Ariana had not watched the show. Yeah. And I think they wanted to make sure they got her live reaction on that because she had openly said she was not watching the show because she didn't want to relive it.
So they wouldn't let anyone see it. It sounded like they held it back from, everybody. Right. So it was a force. Ariana, you're going to see what everyone said behind your back because otherwise you would not be able to talk about it. And we need fireworks. And we still barely got fireworks, honestly.
Oh, my gosh.
It was kind of, I just think it shows that this group is so fragmented now that, yes, Ariana cried and all that, but she didn't give that much emotion to what Lala and Sheena were saying. No. I just don't think she cares. Yeah. They wanted a bigger reaction, and she kind of didn't give it.
Well, she did cry and did finally look at Tom.
Yes.
I caught that.
Yep. I was going to say, we got a much bigger thing, and it was, I think we just said, Ariana, we would be more sympathetic if you gave the honest, I am so hurt, I'm not over it. And she finally gave that. Right. The breakdown, I want you out of my life. Right. I was literally like, this is who I would root for. I think she just went, I have to be girl power. I'm going to be the face of this breakup and what happens when a woman's scorned. And I think she just went, I'm going to be the toughest girl there is. And I actually would have related much more to her crying and being sad about it.
Totally agree. Jessica, just similar in Summer House, how we just talked about how I realized, here's Lindsay Hubbard, and I actually felt a little more empathy for Carl. This reunion, I finally got there with Ariana. Yeah. I was like, okay, I get it. I understand what happened, but I didn't drop my original viewpoint of I think her ego was out of control this season. I just felt finally of for a woman who just has literally gone through a bad breakup and is just still hurt about it. Yeah. Also other weird things this is in fact why I don't think we needed a part 3. First of all, we're talking about Schwartz's poop bathroom in LA, which bathroom he finds the most comfortable pooping in. That might have been in the extended version of Peacock, but
it was not on the regular
one. I wrote down in all letters, big caps, why is that being asked? We don't care.
Don't need to discuss that.
I don't know if this was in yours, but in mine for extended version of Peacock, they were also talking about Jax and Brittany.
That was in mine. And I wrote down, this is so weird that Andy was prompting it all. I was like, is this just the bigger undercover plug for the Valley? Because I kind of thought they were persona non grata, they were gone. And has that ever happened other than, of course, we're still talking about Raquel because she had such a big role in it. But when else has the host brought up other people that used to be on the show.
Right.
And they talked for a good while about them. It
right.
was not a quick question that was related to some other storyline. We full on discussed Brittany and Jax's relationship. I was like, they're not on Vanderpump. Do we remember they're not here anymore?
And you could just hear Jax Taylor yelling from across the world because he would be pissed that his name would be used to fill airtime.
Yeah.
When it's not his, he was kicked off the show.
Yeah. More evidence. It was my show.
I full on forgot Lisa was there for the entirety of the reunion.
She was so quiet.
So quiet.
Yeah.
Oh, did you catch, though, that they kind of were talking about Dan not wanting to be filmed?
Yes, and it was exactly as suspected, but I love that Andy called her out when she goes, well, he's not, she was kind of like, do I break the fourth wall, whatever? And she's like, because he's not getting paid. And Andy's like, but he's still your boyfriend. He could still hang out with you. And then there was that very shady comment, like, well, Brock was always around when he wasn't getting paid. And then what did she say? Different strokes for different folks.
No, I think she said, but Dan doesn't want to be on the show.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, we finally
He's
uncovered.
not edging his way in.
Right. Brock.
More evidence that if there miraculously was still Vanderpump in existence, I don't think Ariana would be on it. She's still dating Dan and he will not be part of it. Mm-hmm. It's, again, another huge part of her life, and she's going to be like bi-coastal, going back and forth.
Right.
Just doesn't fit.
I mean, it's just a lot of noise, though. This would have all been edited out.
Exactly. If they had real stuff to discuss.
Talk about. I think we needed the break of the fourth wall, though. I like, my heart needed to hear them stop acting like this was a reality TV show where they were catching authentic moments and start talking about the fact that this was their job and how this needed to play out differently. Like, I needed that to make this feel more right and less produced this season.
Yeah.
I mean, the Lala rant where she kind of says that nobody really supported her when the Rando breakup happened. I don't know why people are blowing that off. Like, I think she's right.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Ariana and Tom jumping down her throat. Lisa Vanderpump didn't support her.
Yeah.
Like, why doesn't America validate that a little more? I mean, I get it's Lala. She's kind of a hoe, She kind of says rude stuff, but there just seems to be no acknowledgement of that hypocrisy.
Right. And it was all, I felt for her. I think she was having that moment that it was all dawning on her that she really wasn't the favorite. I think it was hitting her about how Lisa reacted differently when she was going, it was how many days after, and Lisa's telling me to get over it and get on with my life. And so I think it was hitting her like, man, I don't think these people like me as much as I thought.
Right. Yeah.
And she did not, she was suddenly all dawning on her. She was not being favored by the producers either, Right. So I think it was all just hitting her looking back on it.
And did you catch that Sheena asked the question in the final moments to Ariana around what she thought of Lala's comments, which was like kind of uncharacteristic of Sheena, because Sheena has been totally trying to play the fence this entire reunion. And I thought what Sheena was doing in that moment was she was trying to gauge if Ariana was mad at her.
Yeah.
In that glimpse, you just got a vision of what Sheena goes through in her mind on a daily basis. How exhausting to be that big of a people pleaser.
She even goes, you can call me a pick-me girl, whatever, I am. I was, okay, we have a little bit of self-awareness. Okay, Sheena, because you are exactly a pick-me girl.
Final comments here, because I don't have a lot more to say about this wretched show that has burned into the ground. Andy at one point asks Ariana, where do you and your friend group go from here? And I wanted to yell at Andy, this is not Ariana's friend group.
No.
Ariana has not been a major player. She's been the grumpy cat sitting in the back, pushing a narcissist down our throat for the last 10 years and supporting him. This is not her friend group. No, period.
Agree. Anything? It's Kristen Doty's. I really think she kind of was the bringer together. I mean, let's not forget her and Sandoval were together for how long?
Right.
Stassi, Katie, Jax, like she was the core group.
I think if you really want to get into it, it was actually the guys that were the friends, and all these women were the girlfriends of them.
So did Kristen, Stassi, Katie only become friends because they were dating guys that were friends?
I think so, because Jax, Tom, and Tom,
they had all their lived in Miami or New York together. That's so true. Okay,
Yeah.
So it was just like the girlfriends banded together,
Right.
and became so tight. Yeah. They've never ended a reunion showing them literally getting into their bathrobes and still discussing. And it just gave me even more concrete evidence. It's done. That was just a unique ending because they said this is it.
Okay, and then, but you also sent me an article, which I think will get us into the Valley here, the final show we're going to talk about today. But that there was an article, I think it was The Variety, that was saying how Alex, the executive producer of Vanderpump, was saying the Valley is kind of full up.
Solid.
The cast is full
Lauren,
up.
I send you so many articles. That entire intro, I still wasn't sure what article you were talking about. The amount of Bravo things we send back and forth to each other. Yes, now I recall. I think it was a Hollywood Reporter article, something like that. And yeah, an exec producer said, we are loving the cast, the way they're vibing. We are full. And they basically said there will be no Lala or Sheena. I think it was you might see them at a party, because they are truly friends. So they might pop in, but they will not be getting confessionals. They will not, be in any way in the intro, that sort of thing. So yes, we've got at least our decision. We know the cast is remaining the same.
Hopefully that Vanderpump crew has saved enough money at this point. That's all I can say.
How is Lala affording her mortgages on her 2 houses she has bought quite recently?
It gives me a little anxiety.
You can't tell me that her company, Give Them Lala, is making that much money.
I know.
Is it just merch or lip gloss?
I think it was makeup, but is that even happening
The
anymore?
fact we don't even know what the company is, there's no way. She definitely had a lipstick. I think she was trying to do a Kylie lip kit.
Yeah, right.
There was some lipstick party that was part of her company, but how does she have enough money? Unless she's getting a crap ton of money from Randall, but he is in a lot of financial issues himself, so I don't think he's forking over a huge child support payment each month.
That gives me anxiety, and she's headed towards baby number 2, and there's no child support coming in on that baby because it's a sperm donor.
Yeah, and there is no job happening in the summer starting up.
Yikes.
Yeah, so true.
Anyway, anything else on Vanderpump?
No.
All right, let's move into the Val.
We are still in Big Bear.
Oh.
Is this the longest cast trip ever, or did they just get so much content? And all I could think was Kristen really got screwed not being invited.
Right.
We got her and Luke walking a dog for about 30 seconds. I know. That was her appearance on that episode.
I know.
So minimal. So them icing her out, which again, going to the cast is not changing. That has to change.
Yeah.
Kristen can't be iced out season 2.
But I feel like this is what makes Kristen such a good reality TV star, is she's very good at worming her way back in.
Yeah.
And also flipping allegiances in a way that you never saw coming. Where one season she's Katie's best friend, and then she's Stassi's best friend, and then it's the 3 of them back, and then they hate Kristen again. She's just a waif as it comes to wherever the wind blows. She's kind of fixing it.
We're going to find out that she's Janet's child's godmother.
Yeah, right.
After this, it's just going to be total 180 between
that will
the
be
two
the
of them.
Kristen Doty swing. That's the art of Kristen Doty that we will see happen.
Her and Janet, besties this next season.
Okay, so we start with the Valley, the baby shower, and the guys are boating. I don't have a ton to say here other than I thought the baby shower looked pretty damn good considering they brought everything in their car.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And just them setting it up. That looked cute.
I thought Brittany does a good job at that stuff. She seems to do a good job.
She did really well for that Janet birthday party she hosted. It was the carnival or the fair. That was really good. So yeah, props to Brittany and her party planning and decorating. You cannot tell me though Janet did not know. She was just in a basement room allegedly napping for hours on end so they could set up.
And she comes out in that beautiful dress with her hair done.
Yeah. Please. She knew it was happening, but whatever. I did laugh at I just thought it was just the fun, lighthearted of when they left Jesse at the floating bathroom and then he hopped on another boat.
Yeah,
that was just
Jesse.
like a funny, he's drunk, whatever. And I thought too, the producers, I mean, they love doing it. The discrepancies in the convos, it was the Brittany, Michelle, her saying that. And then it was Jesse on the boat to Jax, like, we're going to get through it. It's just, you're like cringing for him as he's saying it. It reminds me of which I haven't watched in a while, but like Bachelor or Bachelorette, where like the lead is like, I'm not there with her. And then the girl's like, I can see the wedding, and you're just like, oh, you're about to get dumped. Like, stop saying in your interview, it's going so well.
Totally.
That's what I'm getting with Jesse. But yeah, Jesse just has his blinders on again. Mm-hmm. This would be the equivalent of Jesse trying to say he was blindsided. If he tried to claim he had no idea that Michelle blindsided him. And she said exactly what you said. She clearly is like, the ball is in my court to end it, and I don't want to be the bad guy. You said it. Jesse is waiting every day for his wife to say, I want a divorce. And yeah, we saw absolutely hammered Danny. He was driving me nuts. If someone can, on a TV show, annoy the crap out of me through their drunkenness, I can only imagine how annoying he was in person.
How bad it is.
The Scottish accent, constantly interrupting, like when the chef is trying to give a dinner overview of what's to come, just being so loud and obnoxious.
Also, the Scottish accent was horrible. And he's a voice actor.
Is he?
Yeah.
And then Jesse made that, well, we've learned Danny's a bad actor, and everyone was like, ooh.
Because it's like, that's his livelihood.
We can only say it's because he's hammered. Let's hope he goes to his job sober and has practiced a bit.
Yeah, right.
And did you catch Nia literally goes, you just said the F word to me on national TV, we talked about.
Yeah.
All these Bravo couples. Again, this is with an asterisk. Mm-hmm. He didn't say F you to her. Mm-hmm. He said, well, that's fucking stupid or something. She goes, you just said the F word at me. And I was like, but he didn't. Mm-hmm. I agree. I wouldn't love it, but he was so drunk. And, I feel like swear words kind of slip out easier when you're a little
when you're intoxicated hammered. To that level. Well, yeah. I mean, cutting to the Danny and Nia conversation, that conversation proves to me that they're a healthy couple. When they're walking and they kind of talk through their
that was
differences.
Nice
and
see.
I'm just so over people picking at them because this seems like a very healthy couple. Which
it's misery loves company.
Right.
These other couples are like, Danny and Nia, we should talk about your house. You guys clearly aren't on the same page. And they're like, okay, we're pretty good actually. We're fine.
I'm like, there can be a healthy relationship in this Valley mess. I mean, people don't have to sink everyone's ship on this whole situation.
We need a healthy relationship.
I mean, with Jesse and Michelle, it's first of all he lied. He claimed that he didn't know he claimed that he knew that she was sending the text, right? But the reality is he didn't, which we totally caught last time. Yeah. We called that out. And then I would say like the bigger point with Michelle that's so weird to me is it's going to be really interesting to see how America reacts to her because we've never seen this mid-cheating. I think we've seen cheating, Jax, Sandoval, all of the cultural moments of Vanderpump. But the reality is we've never seen a woman kind of blatantly lie, clearly show on display that she's cheating on her husband.
Mm-hmm. Who is trying to fix it. Now, he's a huge a-hole, so it also makes it confusing to, watch that all play out because he's probably a bigger a-hole than Jax at certain situations, right? Is that a hot take? A hot take. In the fact that Jesse, we're not even done with one season, and you can claim he's a bigger a-hole than Jax, and how many seasons of Jax have we seen? He did some work showing...
He made some impact.
His a-holeness.
I think that Jax gets really heated when it comes to Brittany, but Jesse has curt comments to everybody.
That's so true. That is true. Like we said, the one with Jan jumped down Janet's throat. He is rude to the guys. He's constantly making kind of mean digs to the different guys in the group. So that I agree. I don't think Jax does that as much. So yeah, I think he may be the number one a-hole in the group.
Love that. Also, Friday gentleman's lunch. I kind of love the idea of like you get dressed up and you go spend a ton of money every Friday.
I just felt really bad for the other two older men that are clearly business professionals. I hope Jesse caveated. Okay, don't get me wrong, Jason, lawyer, professional, but like Jax coming in, and I hope he caveated to those two. We're filming. We're going to have to talk about like the BS that's going on in our group. This will not really be the bonding business lunch that you've become accustomed to.
Right. I was kind of like wondering, like, who are those professionals? Like, could we hear their background a little bit?
I would love to. They did not agree to put their company names or titles.
So funny.
That was funny. But well, cutting back to when we were still in Big Bear, we got the Brittany-Janet convo on the swings. And Brittany going, divorce is on the table.
Mm-hmm. Which, Jessica, okay, let's break this down for a second. Divorce has always been on the table for Brittany.
Yes.
Brittany's mom has been divorced 4 effing times.
Wait, what?
Yes! That woman has been divorced a lot. She's on her 4th husband.
I did not know that.
Divorce is very alive and well within that family.
Her mom will give her the lawyer.
Her dad is on his 2nd wife. Her sister has kids, and she never got married to the dad.
I actually did not. Did you watch the Brittany Jax spinoff in Kentucky? Oh,
yeah.
So is that how you know all
Yes.
that? Okay.
Only Mama is the one in her family that has been...
Divorce was illegal back in the day when Mama would have wanted one.
Right.
Women didn't have bank accounts, so Mama couldn't get divorced.
I mean, I think Brittany's probably like, no, divorce is very on the table. It's a lever my family pulls often and with relish.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it is Jax just going, it's not in the family.
Right.
So maybe his side, there is not divorce.
So interesting side note, I didn't actually listen to Vile Files, which is Nick Vile's podcast this time, but I heard that Janet, again, trying to spin up a story, that she apparently heard during the season that Kristen and Zach at Jax's bar opening, or not her bar opening, but just a night at the bar, had wished death upon her unborn child.
Oh.
And that is also why she's iced them out so cold. And so everyone's saying, like, do you think they actually said it? Kristen is crazy. I don't think she would have said that.
No.
Especially with some of the maternity things that Kristen is going through right now.
Granted, she hadn't yet, but
Right.
she was, on the path and trying. But I agree. I'm sorry. That person is psychotic if they say that.
Right. Everything is warranted on wanting to keep your distance if they actually said that. What we're not going to do, Janet, if you're listening to this podcast, is we're not going to have a bunch of off-camera moments a la Vanderpump that you try and bring up next season. We're not doing that.
When we have no cameras to verify who is lying.
We're not doing that. So stop with that, Janet, if you're listening.
Stop right now. I wonder, I'm guessing that means they have not started filming Valley season 2 yet, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, it's always summertime again.
Yeah.
They kind of wait.
So it would probably be in the next couple
It just takes
months.
so long to get the next season then. I hate that they only will film in the summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. It's we should be picking up cameras now, I think, for Valley.
They should have been picked up in March. They stopped by September or October. They had the holidays off. Get back to work in March.
Right.
It's warm in California all time. We don't need it to be summer for them to be outdoors doing stuff.
Well, I also think, too, Jess, that we're seeing Bravo right now push and pull the reunion lever quite, generously. Meaning, like, we've heard that Real Housewives of New Jersey, which we probably will not talk about because of this fact, they're pulling the reunion for that season. They're not doing a reunion, which is, as you said, the kiss of death.
Yeah. That's exactly, now that we say that, because remember I then texted you, this is probably going to be a reboot a la New York. Mm-hmm. New York didn't get a reunion the final season when they were going, it's just stale. Yeah. Take away part 3 of Vanderpump. I will erase it from my brain that I even watched it and give it to the Valley.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe Andy's just too busy. He's like, I can't be bothered to do a reunion with the New Jersey Housewives. They're driving me nuts.
Right.
But yeah, next week, season finale of Valley.
And Vanderpump's no more, so we're down to reunion of Summer House and Valley.
Which again, it's got to at least be a two-part. At least a two-part for Summer House with the breakup.
Right.
That's their Scandival moment.
Right.
The Carl and Lindsay ended engagement. So.
Right. Anything else on Valley?
No, I just cracked up. Same thing when we said, oh, thank God Danielle got to promote her app before she's not on the show. The season finale, Jack's opening the bar, and that's why they're rushing it.
Oh.
They had probably a final production day of when they were going to stop filming, and Jax is like, Brittany, we have to have the bar opening as the season finale.
I mean, it makes sense, right?
It's all making sense why he's pushing it.
That is actually one of the smarter Jax things that I've heard of.
I actually support that. When else? Again, I don't know what Bravo is getting a cut of the bar.
Right.
We don't even know what Jax is getting a cut of.
But you got to make use of the platform. You have to.
Yes.
You have to.
So that is a very smart decision.
Do you want to move into, I don't know what even it's called. I can't say it right. What are the kids talking about these days?
What are the kids doing these days?
What are the kids doing these days with a Z on days?
Well, here's, days. This is a health-related topic.
Love it.
Young adults seem to be slacking on sun safety.
Okay.
Very dangerous.
I'm one of those young adults.
Okay, this is, you are not in the age group of the study.
I'm not?
You are not, unfortunately.
Oh.
But 28% of 18 to 26-year-olds, so sorry, you really are not in that group, said that they don't believe suntans caused skin cancer. And 37% said they only wore sunscreen when others nagged them about it.
Oh, gosh.
So there was a statistic that millennials got thrown into, but this is a very worrying one. It's a small percent, 14% of adults under 35 believed the myth that wearing sunscreen every day is more harmful than sun exposure.
Interesting.
So I would say one of the biggest things when it's like, what advice would you give to a younger? I swear to God, one of them is always to wear sunscreen. Yeah. I wish I had been better about mostly facial sunscreen. Mm-hmm. You can't undo those years of the sunburns, oh my God, the amount of bad sunburns I've had in my life.
My hands, like that would be the one area that I would go back and tell myself.
You've gotta sunscreen those hands.
Okay, but Jessica, I do think they have a point in one regard, which is that I've heard more recently, which my family had gotten rid of this a while ago, but I still was using it. The spray sunscreen is supposed to be really bad for you.
So that's where this is stemming from. And I do agree. There's something to it that some of these products have horrible ingredients that maybe could be causing worse problems than potential skin cancer if you aren't wearing them. So that's where this has gotten started. But unfortunately, going back to last week, so many young people are getting their news off TikTok that these kind of quack, not even doctors, but are spewing, oh, the ingredients in that are so harmful for you. You'd much better. And they're claiming that if you don't get the natural vitamin D on your skin, it's so much worse for you, but the sunscreen won't let you get the natural vitamin D exposure. So that's where it's gone down that path. And I think there's a happy medium.
Right. Always.
You need it. I agree. Good Lord, I do not wear sunscreen every day. So I don't think the average person is either. Granted, we also live in Chicago, so we don't have a ton of time. Maybe the people in Florida need it daily.
Right.
But just a worrying trend. And then it reminded me of hopefully the Gen Zers are not using tanning booths. Let's hope that is a thing of the millennial past.
Please, no. Come on.
Would you do the little sticker to get that tan line? Did you ever do tanning booths?
It was
I
mostly
did the
spray.
heart, not the Playboy bunny. That was for the sluts.
Sluts, yeah, absolutely. I did the spray tan most of the time.
You were ahead of the curve. I feel like spray tans got so much more popular once we were older.
Oh, really? Okay, do you want to move into conspiracy theories?
I would love to hear some. Do you have two for me?
Two this week. They're connected. So, and I should have sent you this link beforehand so you could have looked at it. But so this happened in 2011. but it's related to conspiracy theory number 2, so I got to lay the groundwork.
Okay.
So it's about Beyonce, Queen Bey herself. So back in 2011, she went on an Australian talk show, and it was right when she was about to have her baby.
I
Have
know
you seen
exactly. Yes. The stomach creased in.
Literally, it looks weird
Yes,
on the video.
I have seen that multiple times.
So for those who don't know, she walks into the show. She's about to sit down in the chair, and she walks in fully pregnant, clearly 3rd trimester pregnant to that level. And when she sits down, the stomach creases in as though it's a balloon that has lost air and is resetting itself.
It reminds me that, or like a foam cushion that when compressed, it bent strangely.
Yeah. And it was diagnosed like crazy. World went nuts on the baby bump and whether it was fake.
Because this was Blue Ivy, right? Her first.
Right.
Yeah.
And many at the time kind of let it go because it was 2011. We didn't have social media. And then some people said she maybe is using a surrogate but doesn't want to, tell anybody that, but doesn't want to put her body through the stress. And the Australian TV show even went so far to release extra pieces of the footage of her walking out. She kind of, when she sits down, they have a back shot of her, and you can't see anything under the dress, so they kind of conclude, like, this is all
Were they trying to defend her, or?
They were trying to defend her.
Okay.
Yeah, and she was wearing kind of a clingier dress, so they show a side of her backside, and there's nothing you can see. There's no underwear, nothing that would be, like, if she had a big prosthetic baby bump on, you could maybe see it through the dress. Anyway, they try and debunk it and just say, it was a weird angle. We're fine. Okay, cut to conspiracy theory number 2. Diddy, right? And there's this woman coming out named Jaguar Wrights. Okay. Do you know who this is?
No.
Okay, she is talking. She is chit-chatting everywhere possible in the media.
Anywhere that'll pay her.
Specifically on Instagram. I've never seen her before. But also, clearly, she's big in the rap community, or was big in the rap culture. She was a singer that went on tour with the hip-hop group The Roots. She later appeared as a backup singer for Jay-Z in 2001. Well, Jaguar Wright is relevant today because she's spilling, Jessica, all the tea on Diddy. Okay. She's naming names. She's connecting the dots. She is drawing it all out.
Because she's saying she was there.
She claims she has receipts.
Oh, okay.
Of everything, Jessica. It's not just of one thing that she's implying of this or that. Things that she's claiming. Here's a couple of examples. She's claiming that Diddy paid Cassie $250,000, I think a month, to be his girlfriend. And Cassie put up with Diddy for 11 years because she was getting that paycheck. And
even though she was getting abused.
Yes. And that's why she stayed around for so long. That was one of the things she claims. She is also claiming things like there are videos selling for $500 million on the dark web of Diddy's freak-off parties. She's naming names in the videos. She's naming Diddy's mentors and how they were involved. Okay, she's literally got, like, everything. Now, when you watch Jaguar Wright, the one thing I will say is she's eating and drinking in all of her videos.
Oh, no. I can't watch that if there's chewing.
So she might be a little drunk when she's saying it. Okay, so this is where it gets relevant. This is how the plane lands. So she is saying that Jay-Z back in the day had a mistress called Kathy White. Now, this was pretty well known, I would say. This is not the conspiracy of it all. And we knew that Jay-Z was cheating on Beyonce, right?
Yes.
There was the elevator incident where Beyonce's sister kind of hits him and it's caught on tape.
Gets her revenge in the elevator.
Yep. Beyonce speaks to it in her Lemonade kind of CD, soundtrack. God, CD, that's not the right term. Anyways, we've always had rumors, and Kathy White was one of them. Kathy White was a fitness and beauty expert. She was the CEO of her own PR firm. She graduated from Howard, which Diddy had went to Howard. So she she basically was caught once in a club in Vegas with Diddy and Jay-Z and a girlfriend of hers, and that's where it started. All these rumors that she was his mistress.
Okay.
Anyway, she dies of an aneurysm. Yep. Very spookily so.
I have been Googling as you've been talking, and I'm reading this.
And she dies of an aneurysm on the same year that Beyonce is pregnant. So what Jaguar Wright is saying that Kathy Wright's daughter, or unborn child, is Blue Ivy. And Jay-Z, some way, shape, or form, had this woman, Kathy Wright, killed because she was a mistress. It was going to come out. It was messy. And the baby of Beyonce and Jay-Z is actually hers. Cut back to the stomach situation in 2011. And that would prove why she was faking the stomach at the time.
And I remember it was harsh because it's still a child. I don't know how old Blue Ivy is, but she is not 18. Everyone's saying, oh, when you look like your dad's twin, but yet your mom's Beyonce.
Yeah.
So there's been so many comments about how Blue Ivy looks just like Jay-Z.
Right.
So she didn't get a ton of the Beyonce genes, potentially because that is not her mother.
Right.
But would Beyonce was cool with that? I'm going to raise your mistress's child. Well, obviously, she had to know.
And this is the thing that Jaguar Wright implies. She doesn't say this like outright. It's all alleged. Nobody sue us, right?
Yeah.
But that Kathy Wright was killed by a woman. All right. So Jaguar implies basically that Beyonce killed.
Stop. Okay, I didn't see it going that way. That's the beauty of conspiracy theories.
Right.
They always keep you guessing.
Always get darker, always get weirder. So that is what's happening. Now, Jaguar Wright, if you Google this on Instagram, she's everywhere right now. She's dropping the tea on Diddy. And this was her most recent allegation as of like a couple weeks ago. So this is all relevant. But the one thing that people are holding on to of why this kind of makes sense is this stupid Stomachgate thing back at the Australian TV show when Beyonce sits down. So who knows? It's all alleged. Don't sue us. Allegedly. Very, very alleged. I'm going to go out there, not because I'm scared of being sued, but I just cannot imagine Beyonce killing someone. I can't either. That seems way too far-fetched. Well, the part I can believe with what we're learning is that Diddy had something to do with it. Right. I can very much believe he was involved in some way, but that's wild. And I'm glad I've been Googling. I have these browsers open, and I will be watching these Jaguar Wright videos. Yeah, for sure. That was a good one, Lauren. I know. The twists and turns on that were coming. Anyway, but Jessica, great to talk to you. Yes, you too. As always. And tune in next week. Next week, we're going to announce what shows we're going to watch, Jessica. Ooh, after the excitement is building. After these reunions, we have to get to a new show. The anticipation is building because we don't know the answer. We don't know it yet. All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Bye, co-conspirators.